Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this loaded breakfast potato casserole. And best of all, we're going to make it on the stovetop. And this recipe was inspired by my mom friend that we had our breakfast get together. She made this casserole and it was so good, y'all. And so I'm going to share how to make this wonderful loaded casserole. So these are the ingredients. Now I have some fresh green onion that I actually have in my garden, and so I have some fresh green onion that I like to grow and some herbs. So I'm going to chop some of that because we're going to need a little bit of green onion to top this casserole with. Now with this breakfast casserole, I'm going to share with you a few ins and outs and different ingredients that you can substitute in and substitute out so you can make it your own. Now in addition to the green onion, we're also going to be using some yellow onion, and I'm just going to use about a half a cup of yellow onion. Now if you don't have a yellow onion on hand, you can use a brown onion or a white onion. That'll work as well. And so we're just going to chop up a half a cup, and those pieces that you're chopping the onion, you want them to be no bigger than a dime, about that size or a little bit smaller, around about there. Now, if you are new here, I want to welcome you in, and if you're a returner, I want to thank you for coming back. My name is Dyvonne, and on my channel, I love to share what I cook and what I bake for my family in my kitchen. I enjoy those old school and old-fashioned family recipes, especially wonderful baking recipes, and so if you enjoy that kind of content, I hope you consider subscribing. Now for the potato, I have one large russet potato, or also in the store you might see it as a baking potato. So you want one large potato, and what's nice is that one large potato is going to be enough. This casserole is enough for 6 people easily, and so I'm going to go ahead and slice it. So I cut it in half, and I'm going to leave the skin on. So I went on and I washed my potato really well. We're going to leave the skin on. Now if you don't have one large russet or Idaho potato, you can use 2 medium-sized potatoes. You can use that, but this one large one is going to be perfect. And after I sliced the potato in half, I went on and started making slices from that. So we have these half circle shapes that we want to have, and you want to have them fairly thin, not too thick, about the thickness if you were to put 2 coins together, like maybe 2 quarters, no more than 3 quarters stacked together. That's about the thickness that you want to have. Now something else we're going to put in our casserole is going to be some broccoli. This is some frozen broccoli that I went on and I let defrost. I have here some breakfast sausage. This is 1 pound, but we're only going to be using half of that pack. So we're just going to be using half of the pound. And then we also have some bacon. So I have 4 strips of bacon. I'm going to use my kitchen shears and go ahead and cut this up into smaller pieces. Now with the bacon and with the sausage, you can do a few substitutes kind of based on your liking. If you don't want to use the breakfast sausage, you can use 4 more additional pieces of bacon for a total of 8. Or you can leave the bacon out and use the full pack, which would be then 1 pound of the breakfast sausage. And likewise, you can also use turkey breakfast sausage if you like. So once I have it broken down, and about that size is what I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands real quick because we're going to work on our egg mixture. I have 8 large eggs, and we're going to season our eggs up a little bit as well. Now if you would like to use just egg whites in substitution of using the 8 full eggs, you would use 8 ounces of egg whites in substitution of using the 8 full eggs. And I will have a list of ingredients for you for your reference in the description box below. I'm using some kosher salt to season my eggs, and that was half a teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm also going to be using some garlic powder. So I'm using some garlic powder, and I'm also using a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to use some black pepper, and I'm using 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Now if you don't have any kosher salt on hand and you have just regular table salt, you'd want to reduce it to 1/4 of a teaspoon of regular table salt. And then once I have those ingredients in there of my seasonings, which was the half a teaspoon of kosher salt, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and the 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper with my 8 eggs, I go ahead and I scramble really well. You want to make sure you have no whites at all and everything is nice and yellow. Now in my pan, this is a 12-inch pan that I'm using. I put in the half of the pound of the breakfast sausage. I'm going to break this up, and right now I have my flame on a medium. Now we're going to start building our breakfast casserole, and if you enjoy stovetop breakfast casseroles, I have another one that I did recently on my channel. That one I did without any meat, and I also used hash browns, and in the description box I'll put a link to that one. Now after I break up the sausage, I go ahead and I add in the bacon, and we're going to be cooking this until the sausage starts to brown up a bit and the bacon also starts to brown up, starts to get just a little bit crispy. We're going to go ahead and let this go for a moment. And I apologize for the lighting. It was having some technical difficulties, but it's going to correct itself in a moment. Now when cooking the casserole, I made sure that I was breaking down that sausage to make sure I didn't have any really big pieces, and keeping an even layer to make sure that the bacon and the sausage all had a chance to brown up nicely. Now when it gets to this point and the majority of my bacon is cooked through, I add in that half a cup of chopped onion, and we're going to continue to saute and keep our flame on that nice medium to medium low heat. With using the bacon and the sausage, it's going to yield me some drippings in my pan, and that's going to aid me in cooking our potatoes when it's time. If you're using turkey breakfast sausage or a sausage brand that seems to be pretty lean, you can also add in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil if need be to your pan when it comes time to add in your potatoes. So once my onions are nice and soft, then I'm going to add in the potatoes. I have my potatoes in water, and that's just to keep them from becoming brown after I slice them. And so I went on and I drained them in my colander because I do want my potatoes to brown up a bit, and I don't want to introduce any excess water into my pan right away. I'm mixing the potatoes in with the rest of the ingredients so we can start to pick up those flavors of the sausage, the onion, and the bacon. I also want my potatoes to touch the surface of the skillet so that way they can start to get some of that nice browning. And again, if you need to add a little bit of olive oil to your pan, you can definitely do that, anywhere from a couple tablespoons to 3 tablespoons, just kind of depending on what your need is. I hear some sizzling going on, so I'm going to top my pan, let this go for about 10 to 15 minutes, and let those potatoes start to soften up. Once my potatoes are nice and soft, I add in my broccoli, and this is 1.5 cups of frozen broccoli that I let slightly defrost on my countertop. I add that in, and then I go ahead and I stir fry that broccoli in with the other ingredients. Now something else that you can also use is if you like bell pepper, when you put in the onion, you can also put in bell pepper as well as mushroom if you also like mushroom. And so those are a couple of other ingredients that also work good. I let the broccoli warm through for about 5 minutes. Everything is looking really good. It's smelling really good. And now I'm going to add in our egg. And just like this, as it is, as a breakfast stir fry, it makes a great breakfast stir fry. And that was something that my son had pointed out to me. When I pour on the egg, I make sure to go all around the pan. I want to have all the eggs evenly distributed over all the ingredients. And so once I do that, I have my flame. It's on that medium low heat because we want our eggs to cook, but we don't want them to get overly done on the bottom. And so something that also helps with that is that I take my wooden spatula and I kind of just poke down that egg just like that. So I'm going to poke down the egg, and then I'm going to put the top back on my pan and let it cook. It doesn't take long, about 5 to 7 minutes is what it's going to take for the egg to start to really firm up nicely. And you see around the edge of your pan, you see how the egg really starts to cook around the edge of the pan and starts to firm up. And so then I take the spatula and I just kind of jiggle and move around that egg so that way any egg that's still uncooked on the top can work its way down to the bottom. Now once my eggs are just about done, I'm going to top my casserole with some cheese. I'm going to be using a combination of medium cheddar cheese and some Monterey Jack cheese. You can also use Colby cheese, You can use a Mexican blend cheese. It's kind of up to you, but you want to top it with about a cup of cheese. And so I went on and I put some Monterey Jack cheese on, and also that medium cheddar on top of the Monterey Jack. About a cup of cheese, anywhere from a half a cup up to a cup, depending on your liking. I sprinkled on our chopped green onion. I topped my casserole, let it cook for just a couple of minutes just to kind of have the last of the egg firm up and the cheese to melt. Well, our breakfast casserole is done. It is looking good. It is smelling good. My son said he's going to make his into a taco with a flour tortilla, so he is looking forward to doing that. But this right here, I'm going to share this first bit of casserole with y'all, and I'm going to let y'all have the first bite. Now, I'll tell you, this casserole comes out so good, and my daughter, she ended up topping hers with sour cream. And so you can do yours with sour cream if you like, some salsa. But this bite right here is for you. Go ahead and take your bite. I'm going to take my bite and see how we did. And it is cheesy. It is nice and cheesy too. Wow. Oh my goodness. Now this is a good way to get the family to have broccoli in the morning. And friends, this casserole comes out so good. I made this on a Saturday morning. It was so good. I made it the next day, Sunday morning. So I used the other half of that sausage we had. I went on and used it the next day, made another casserole. Well, that is it for me today. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to show it some love and give it a thumbs up and click share. Share this video with a friend or family. And don't forget to click that notification bell so you can come back and visit me again in my kitchen. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.